So what's a volunteer policy and why do you need one? The aim of this PowerPoint is to talk you through the important elements of creating a volunteer policy and making sure it's the right one for your organisation. A volunteer policy lays out the basis in which your organisation is going to involve volunteers. It covers all the elements of involving volunteers and is basically your commitment to treating volunteers in a fair and equitable manner. Here's some guidance on the elements you should include in your volunteer policy. We've grouped them into sections. This is by no means an exhaustive list. You may decide there are additional things you need to add to your own policy to make sure it's right for your organisation. There are some general rules you should really follow when creating a volunteer policy. Firstly, it must be appropriate to your organisation. No two volunteer involving organisations are ever the same. And if you're a small, purely volunteer-led group, there's no point having a huge volunteer policy that's like War and Peace. It has to reflect your volunteer involvement and your volunteer programme. Other things to include are to ensure that it's clearly laid out with headings and it's easy to follow. Don't go for paragraphs to half a page. Try and break it down into easily legible, easy to read sections. Keep your language plain and easy to understand. Don't use loads of acronyms. You need to bear in mind that this volunteer policy can be read by any volunteer from a whole range of backgrounds. They may not have English as a first language. They may not have particularly good levels of education. So it's good to make sure it's a nice, clear, easy to follow policy. It's important to include some information about the organisation itself, its aims, its missions and its values, so the volunteer can understand what the organisation does and where their role may fit into it. It's also good to have a clear statement about not creating contracts with volunteers and not replacing paid staff. Every organisation has its own policies and procedures. I wouldn't recommend listing every single one in a volunteer policy, but it's useful to give an overview or a summary of your policies, perhaps a sense about confidentiality, data protection, how you treat volunteer records, equal opportunity and diversity, ground rules and conduct, health and safety summary, insurance, problem solving, grievance and disciplinary procedures, your recruitment, selection and screening processes, safeguarding if appropriate. An important part of involving volunteers is how you will support them. This could include things like development and training opportunities, your expectations of volunteers, expenses, handbooks, induction, role or task descriptions, your support and supervision sessions, and also any obligatory training that might be involved, such as food hygiene perhaps. Finally, you might want to talk a little bit about how you seek volunteer views. Do they have any participation in decision making, staff and volunteer relationships, and what your offer is to your volunteers. Finally, you might want to talk. The Volunteer Centre has a wide range of resources for those who manage volunteers. These range from sample documents, information sheets, we can give you links to online resources, and also potential networks that may help with your volunteer management where you can connect with other people who manage volunteers. There's no such thing as a silly question when you're involving volunteers, and we're more than happy to help you if we can. Please do get in touch and we'll do our best to help. Here are our contact details, email, direct phone number, and also our Facebook and Twitter feeds. There's loads of information on our website, which is volunteeringcounts.org.uk, including details of our training. We do regular posts on our blog sharing information, ideas, events, and also have an opportunity of the day every single day for local volunteer involving groups. So why not get in touch and see how we can help you get the very best of your volunteer programme.